Taylor Swift's newly released album, The Tortured Poets Department, is the most successful album of all since collaborating with Jack Antonoff. Since the album's release on April 19 until now, it has continuously broken all records on all platforms. This is also considered a successful and historic collaboration of Taylor Swift and Jack Antonoff. The highly anticipated release of Taylor Swift's TTPD, The Tortured Poets Department, has been nothing short of spectacular. From the shock announcement of a surprise double album to the explosion of TTPD discourse on social media, this past weekend has been an incredible ride of emotional highs and lows. A hot topic that has dominated the discourse, Jack Antonoff versus Aaron Dessner, and how their music influences can be heard on TTPD. Raise a hand if you felt personally victimized by Taylor Swift's The Tortured Poets Department this past weekend. While a few casual Swifties in want of reading classes have expressed disdain for the album and its lyrics, the numbers do not lie. The Tortured Poets Department has shattered records across Spotify and Apple Music, which once again proves and enthrones the incredible success and staying power of Taylor Swift. On debut day, TTPD garnered over 313 million streams on Spotify, blowing the previous record holder out of the water. In case you're curious, the previous record was also held by Swift for her 2022 album Midnights, which made history when it was streamed 184.6 million times in a single day. The shattering success of TTPD is not merely contained to Spotify. Apple Music has also declared the album its biggest pop album of all time, based on the number of streams it garnered upon debuting. In traditional sales, TTPD sold 1.4 million copies on release day, spread across CD, vinyl, cassette, and digital downloads in the United States alone, marking the biggest sales week Swift has ever achieved. Notably, her second-best sales week was charted upon the release of 1989, Taylor's version, which sold 1.359 million copies. With the all-encompassing success of The Tortured Poets Department, Taylor Swift also marked another notch in the dazzling register of her career by becoming Spotify's most streamed artist in a single day. The lead single of TTPD, Fortnite, feat. Post Malone, also became the platform's most streamed song in a single day, with Swifties and casual listeners alike lauding the singer's inaugural collaboration. The music video for Fortnite has garnered 27.7 million views, featuring extraordinary cinematography, editing, and storytelling. Swift and Post star as the Tortured Poets alongside actors Ethan Hawke and Josh Charles of Dead Poets Society, 1989, Acclaim, further celebrating the album's intrinsic themes. The Tortured Poets Department has also become the first album in the world to broach 1 billion streams within 3 days of its release. In terms of the numbers, Swift's well-deserved path to yet another chart-topping success appears inevitable, but what tracks are pulling the most weight in driving the figures? While it can certainly take more than a single listen to identify one's favorite on any given album, particularly when it is a masterpiece of 31 unskippable tracks. Popular hits from TTPD, TA have now emerged in the form of Spotify's streaming data. To date, the song on TTPD, TA with the most streams is Fortnite, which was written collaboratively by Swift and Post, along with Swift's longtime collaborator and friend Jack Antonoff. Produced by Antonoff and Swift, the song garnered close to 52 million streams in its first 3 days, dominating Spotify's streaming chart for the duration. Written and produced by the dynamic duo of Swift and Antonoff, Down Bad has likewise emerged as a fan favorite. Despite ranking third with 17.3 million streams on debut day, it went on to scale the charts over the weekend, garnering 34.9 million streams in 3 days. Third in place is the album's titular track, The Tortured Poets Department, which garnered 30.8 million streams in its first 3 days. Also written and produced by Swift and Antonoff, the track is a testament to their songwriting prowess, displaying the musical genius that the pair have come to be recognized for. In spite of Antonoff's long-standing collaborative relationship with Swift, listeners on social media have bemoaned his signature synthpop touch on her music. Across TikTok and X, formerly Twitter, listeners expressed their belief that Antonoff was holding Swift back. The most zealous of this set have even gone so far as to add that his musical arrangements were lackluster and repetitive, recalling his work on Midnights, which include bops like Lavender Haze, Midnight Rain, and Anti-Hero among others. Yet, Antonoff's power with the beat extends beyond the dreamy, synth-rich tracks of Swift's 2022 album. The Bleachers frontman first began working with Swift on 1989, in which he co-wrote and produced Out of the Woods, You Are in Love, and I Wish You Would. He went on to work with Swift on Reputation, Lover, Folklore, and Evermore, and likewise received writing and producing credits on her re-recorded albums Fearless, Taylor's Version, Red, Taylor's Version, Speak Now, Taylor's Version, and 1989, Taylor's Version. Through it all, Antonoff has displayed a keen understanding of sound, from the softer nuanced notes of the Lakes to the high-octave, high-energy beats of Cruel Summer. Other fan-favorite bops that Antonoff has worked on include the iconic Look What You Made Me Do, Getaway Car, Paper Rings, Cornelia Street, Daylight, My Tears Ricochet, and I Don't Wanna Live Forever. In stark contrast, fans have lauded the involvement of Aaron Dessner in TTPD-TA. Dessner, who has made a name for himself in the alternative music sphere as a founding member of The National, is yet another longtime collaborator who first began working with Swift for Folklore in 2020, for which he is credited as both a writer and producer. Dessner continued to work alongside Swift and Antonoff for Evermore and Midnights, and is responsible for bringing a gentler and folksier alternative vibe to the songstress' expansive catalog. Among his songs, Dessner can count hits like You're Losing Me, The Great War, The One, Right Where You Left Me, Champagne Problems, and others to be his own. His golden touch is evident throughout Swift's discography, and likewise, in the Tortured Poets department, where his songwriting genius shines across numerous fan-favorite tracks. Most notably, Dessner worked on So Long, London, which is the fifth track in the Tortured Poets department. A long-standing theory amongst Swifties posits that the fifth spot is reserved for the most gutting song of each album. And So Long, London, does not break with that tradition. The song garnered 17 million streams on debut, eventually racking up 33.75 million streams in its first 3 days. Dessner also brought his brooding musical quality to the scathing ballad that is The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, which garnered 10.8 million streams on release day. Over the weekend, the track went on to rack up an impressive 21.7 million streams. Yet another song that Dessner worked on with Swift was Lommel, a mournful ballad that speaks to anyone who has ever lost a relationship that seemed destined in the stars to succeed. On debut day, Lommel charted at 12th place in Spotify's top-played songs, garnering 12 million streams. In its first 3 days, it received a total of 23.5 million streams. In the face of critique, true Swifties have risen to the defense of Antonoff, who has noticeably, and unfairly, caught flack on social media. In songwriting and production, both Antonoff and Dessner have proven their prowess. It would not be wrong if one were to assume that Swift's choice to continue working with the duo is due to their expertise in specific genres, thus rendering the Jack Antonoff versus Aaron Dessner argument in Swift's music completely moot. While there are notable intersections between the genres most frequented by Antonoff and Dessner, the former is most known for his work with alternative/indie rock band Fun, and indie and synthpop band Bleachers, which recently performed at Coachella 2024. Echoing his colorful personality, Antonoff's sound boasts depth and range. His musical journey with Swift has taken the duo through numerous genres, including pop, bubblegum pop, synthpop, electropop, country, and indie/alternative. In the Tortured Poets department, Antonoff returns to the groundwork he and Swift first laid together in Midnights, exploring dreamy synths and cheerful beats. You know you're good when you can even do it with a broken heart. Despite casual listeners' determination to disprove his magical touch, Antonoff is a collaborator well worth his salt, and Swift certainly considers his input essential to her music. Of equal importance to the thriving catalog of Taylor Swift is Aaron Dessner, who boasts an incredible discography as part of indie alternative/indie rock and folk rock band The National. Most notably, The National has received widespread acclaim, garnering a loyal fanbase for their music which has appeared in many television shows and movies. The band's cover of The Reigns of Castamere for Game of Thrones caught public attention. Beyond that, their songs have also been featured in Warm Bodies, 2011. Friday Night Lights, 2006-11, and Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, 2008, among others. Dessner's Electric Touch, yes, he produced that, in the Tortured Poets department is most notable in soft ballads and gentle melodies recalling Swift's earlier folklore and Evermore eras. His inimitable expertise in producing alternative/indie sounds lent themselves to the anthology portion of the Tortured Poets department. Within the extra 15 tracks, Dessner is credited as a writer and producer on 12, including the internet-breaking country song Thank You Amy, on which he worked with Antonoff and Swift. Other tracks on TTPD and TTPD-TA that have benefited from Dessner's touch include The Albatross, indie/electronic, The Bolter, folk pop, indie folk, Cassandra, folk pop, gothic folk, indie pop, and The Prophecy, folk pop. Leading up to the 66 Grammys, fans theorized Taylor Swift would announce Reputation, Taylor's version, during the awards. But Swift had different plans when she won, instead announcing her 11th studio album, The Tortured Poets department, during her acceptance speech. The album was released on April 19, but her trickery wasn't over. Fans were still hoping she would do a double release with her version of Reputation. Instead, she dropped 15 other songs at 2 a.m. as The Tortured Poets department, the anthology. The album features two distinctive sounds in Jack Antonoff's synth-pop and Aaron Dessner's acoustic melancholic songs. Just by listening to the opening of a song, it's obvious which one of Swift's producers worked on it. Antonoff's sounds ruin the album, and what makes songs that would be good otherwise get lost in translation. The tired sound that Antonoff uses on nearly every song just isn't as interesting as it first was, especially after its presence on her Midnights album and the 1989, Taylor's version, Vault tracks. The repetitive sound leads listeners to thank Dessner for using a piano or guitar in his songs. A delicate piano sound introduces Lommel, a song focused on the theme of heartbreak heard throughout the album. Lommel and other songs reference Swift's breakup after 6 years with former boyfriend, actor Joe Alwyn. She wrote on Instagram that the album captures a moment of time, but, by writing these songs, she can let it all go. So Long, London explores her deep-cut wounds from her relationship with Alwyn, but Antonoff ruins the song with the pulsing synth in the song's background worming into listeners' ears. The song marks Swift's shift from adoring references to Alwyn on her album Lover in songs like London Boy. So Long, London, is the 5th track on the album, and for Swifties, songs hold a deeper meaning. They are usually the most heartbreaking songs on the album, like All Too Well on Red and Dear John on Speak Now. You swore that you loved me, but where were the clues? I died on the altar waitin' for the proof / you sacrificed us to the gods of your bluest days / and I'm just getting color back into my face. She sings about the London heartbreak. Swift says Alwyn's love was unclear and she was left yearning for it, awaiting a marriage proposal that never came. The color returning to her face proves how taxing the relationship, and Alwyn's mental health, were on her. Swift also explores her fame throughout the album, singing about persevering through her heartbreak and performing on the Eras tour. The sentiments fall short, as the sounds of Antonoff's synth become irritating. She tells herself to fake it until you make it while telling fans she's so depressed. Yes, it's impressive that Swift had such a successful tour, all while releasing several albums. However, her immense wealth and stardom remove her from normal life, which makes lyrics about her struggles leave a bad taste in listeners' mouths. Some of the album is simply weird and off-putting, especially certain songs with some offensive lyrics. Lyrics on I Hate It Here have received backlash as Swift sings about her choice of the decade she'd prefer to live in. The decade Swift reminisces about was before the end of slavery, nearly 200 years ago. I'd say the 1830s, but without all the racists, and getting married off for the highest bid, she sings. People flock to social media to critique the artist's word choice. One TikTok is getting repeatedly stitched after someone attempted to justify the lyrics. The stitches highlight that Swift was rumored to date Maddie Healy, who has made racist comments in the past. Her lyrics highlight her hypocrisy, not her anti-racism. It does not stop there. Swift references the video game Grand Theft Auto, crying at the gym, and calls out several other celebrities like Charlie Puth on the title track and Kim Kardashian on Thank You Amy. These choices are in poor taste and immature. The anthology is where Swift shines. The closest she comes to folklore or Evermore on the album is with songs like The Black Dog, one of Antonoff's only satisfying works on the project, and The Albatross. The Albatross references the 1834 poem The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, about a sailor who kills other people. The song serves as a warning of Swift and a continuation of references to the 1830s, a period known for its popular literature like Moby Dick. Devils that you know / raise worse hell than a stranger / she's the death you chose / you're in terrible danger, Swift sings. While lyrics like these are the highlights of the album, the cons of Tortured Poets make it a letdown overall. Swift attempts to recreate the beautiful lyricism of Folklore and Evermore, but ultimately fails. She is stuck between her success in the last decade and her new presence. She attempts to be relatable, but that's something Swift will never be because she, quite literally, feels untouchable.